COOK. And I am Sergeant PIO. All right. This morning at approximately 7 a.m., Tempe dispatch received a 911 call for what was believed to be a homicide here at the Meadows Mobile Home Park at 2401 West Southern Avenue. The caller believed that her son had killed her husband. She was also able to provide a description of her son and that she last saw her husband on the floor in their residence, unresponsive. She was able to safely leave the residence and contact the officers here at the entrance of the mobile home park. At the same time, Tempe dispatch received an additional 911 call from a nearby resident saying they heard what they thought was fireworks or additional pops. The mother, when she contacted the officer, she was able to provide for more information to the officer. At the same time, officers responded to the residence and surrounded it. As normal protocol, they began giving announcements to the residents of that occupants. Once they gave announcements, the adult male son exited with a gun in his hand. When he exited the residence, he put the gun to his head for a short moment. After he brought the gun back down, he then pointed the gun at the officers. At this point, one officer discharged his duty weapon. Shortly after they discharged their duty weapon, when it was safe to do so, officers were able to approach the son and provide immediate medical aid to him. He was later transported to a nearby hospital for further medical evaluation. After they transported the male, they entered the home to conduct what's called a protective sweep to ensure there's no other occupants inside the home. That is when they located the deceased man inside on the kitchen floor. With this situation, and as some, the East Valley Critical Incident Response Team responded to the residents to conduct the investigation for the officer-involved shooting portion. Mesa PD will be handling the officer-involved shooting portion. In addition to that, the homicide investigation will be handled by Tempe Police Department. Any questions? Due to the integrity of the investigation, we are not going to release how many shots were fired by the one officer at this time. So in order to ensure all those witnesses and the nearby residents, that's the purpose of the investigation right now, is to conduct those interviews and to see what further was being said. Once they go in the residence, there's an additional investigation that will be had. At this time, he is alive, but he's still undergoing further medical evaluation.
And just to clarify, the other man in the home is deceased.
So for relationship purposes, the deceased man in the home is the husband of our caller and the stepfather of our suspect involved in the shooting. All three were living at this residence at the time. So the adult son, with his age, what we'll do is we'll release a medical, we'll release a media release later on, but the son is 55 years old. That will give all the details of the ages and the people involved. That is correct. When the officers surrounded the home fairly quickly, it was all contained to that. I think at this point, to speculate the motives and to further into what led up to this investigation, we really can't go there. However, what we wish to ensure is that we had a homicide and an officer-involved shooting here, and that is our #1 priority, is to ensure the answers for this family, as well as we had an officer who was involved with this shooting today.
Do you know if officers have responded to this house before? If there have been other incidents prior to?
We did check that, and at this time, we did not have any reason to believe we had any other history at this home. And as of last night with the mother, she did say there was nothing that led her to believe, there was no arguments that led up to anything. But that is, again, something we'll continue to interview her and talk to her about. The officer who discharged his weapon is assigned to our patrol division, and he has 16 years on. At this point that we're investigating the homicide portion of that, we don't know as far as how many times or what occurred with the father inside. Again, we have not, yeah.
There's been quite a few officer-involved shootings just within this year and last year. Can you say anything, I guess, to address the public maybe on concerns or things like that?
I'll say this. I've been in this job for 13 years, and there's many individuals within this line of duty that oftentimes this is the worst day for many officers. Although the numbers may reflect that there's been a lot, this is an awful day for officers. This is not something we want to do. The direct numbers and why there's been so many, we're dealing with a community. We're trying to do the best we can to ensure we have so many additional resources and how we can approach the public, to have that not be our first line of defense. And I think we're doing an amazing job.
You mentioned that this can be a tough day, so what does the next few days, weeks look like for an officer who started their run?
Once this happens, there's obviously an administrative side of this and a criminal investigation side of this. That officer will have some time off, and justifiably so, to recuperate and think about there's a mental health side of this for officers as well, that we have to recover ourselves and see, are we good to go back on the streets right away, or do we need a couple days to reconvene before we go back out on the streets? And in Tempe, we ask our officers to take days off for that purpose.
Just to be clear, the mother hasn't given any sort of indication or explanation as to why the son might have gone or what had happened. Is the son or the same thing?
No. The mother at this time has not given further indication about why or what his motives would be. That would be the further investigation by the homicide team.
Can you confirm how many shootings involving officers have happened?
I cannot confirm right now how many shootings we've had within the city of Tempe, but we can get back to you on that. Any other questions?
Anything else?
That's it. Thanks, guys.